Greene is an economist specializing in the Eurozone crisis. She joins me live from Boston. Now, what sort of comment is that by Trichet that our economic crisis is not as bad as others?
It's a great political statement. I think that actually it's unfounded in that the euro crisis is really serious, but that Jean-Claude Trichet has to put forward a front saying that actually everything's all right here. Otherwise, the markets will be even more unstable than they already are. But certainly the irony hasn't been lost on European leaders that the U.S.'s Geithner is in there trying to talk about how to solve a debt crisis when the U.S. certainly has one of its own.
I know, it's funny, isn't it, that they call on the US looking at an economy that's certainly not doing well, and then when the US offers suggestions, they poo-poo them.
Yeah, that's right. There's now talk of maybe inviting a Chinese representative to the next ECOFIN meeting, I guess to try to balance things out. But it is certainly ironic that the EU leaders have invited Geithner along to get his expertise and then have done nothing but push back against it.
Okay, so they've decided to postpone until October a decision on whether to hand over the next tranche of cash to Greece. Do you think Greece is going to get this cash, and why are they waiting so long?
Yeah, I mean, I think that this announcement that they're going to wait until October to decide on Greece's next tranche of funding is probably the most significant thing that has come out of this ECOFIN meeting. And I do think that Greece will probably get the cash. And it's largely because if Greece didn't and it had to default on its debt, which it would probably if it didn't get this next tranche of funding, European banks, particularly French banks, would be in really big trouble. And right now that would be a disaster for the Eurozone. But if they give Greece this next tranche of funding, and then wait until next December to maybe withhold money from Greece. By December, they're hoping that the reforms to the EFSF, the big bailout fund for peripheral countries in the EU, will have been ratified so that the EFSF will be empowered to bail out banks. So right now, if Greece defaulted and the banks were in trouble, it would be the EU and EU governments that would have to then bail out their country's banks. But if they wait a few months until December, hopefully the bailout fund will be able to do that. So I think that Greece will definitely get this tranche of funding.
Megan, do you think any of them know what they're talking about, or do you think they have a plan in mind? I mean, the meeting was called off early because there's so many people demonstrating in the area. People, I should imagine, have a right to be angry at this lack of decision. I mean, it's their future after all.
Yeah, I think EU leaders throughout this crisis have really never missed an opportunity to miss an opportunity. The leadership has been pretty shambolic throughout the crisis. But that being said, I don't think that EU leaders are idiots. I think that they do know what's going on. I think that they do get a sense of the bigger picture. But each country's leader is constrained by domestic politics. And that has been the problem throughout, that each of these countries is more concerned about its domestic national situation and, pandering to its own electorate than it has about greater EU-level issues. And that's going to have to change if the Eurozone is going to stay together.
Greene, good talking to you. Thank you.